So and that brings us to the World Series, which, like, honestly, I didn't think we were gonna get here, man. I like the thing that we were talking about. Like, I don't hate Seattle. I think like a cool Toronto Seattle, like a rivalry, is pretty fun, especially because you can just like.
I feel like both those teams, obviously apart from NFL, but they have a very similar, just like torturous history between them.
Yes.
Especially because like they lost their basketball team, right before they got a super popular place to live. So like they hold that too.
And what was like a talent, if I recall, they were like a pretty good team when the Supersonics were moved. Is that correct?
I'm pretty sure they had Kate. They drafted Durant and what's his name? The other guy that was with them, Westbrook. I'm pretty sure they had Westbrook and Durant before they moved to Oklahoma City. Insane. It's very similar to the Nordiques, right? Like the Nordiques moving and then immediately winning the cup with Colorado. Yeah. And that reminds me too about that reminds me too about like they're really pushing this will bring me back to the business of baseball, because they're really pushing, I don't know, I've been watching a lot of coverage. They're really pushing that Netflix documentary, the Who Killed the Montreal Expos.
Yeah, I was excited to see it, and then when you told me that it was outside of Netflix production sphere, I was pretty excited. And it is interesting that it's kind of everywhere, and a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah, and like my whole thing about all of this is that like sports is statecraft, right? And like
certainly,
what better way to continue? Because like a huge thing that I believe that like a lot of like what we're seeing, this like integration in like American sports culture with Canadian sports culture, is just because it's literally like the infrastructure of this new type of American hegemonic world order that is based on America actually not being like the imperial core. And so like Canada actually has to like spend its money in America. And so making Canadians want liking baseball, right? While also like this phenomenon of Americans liking hockey, we're starting to see this like interchange in culture that is wiping away a lot of like the divide that used to make us different. And this happened off the wave of Trump taking office and all of, his protectionist politics and things like that. But like we've had the Four Nations Cup, which made, hockey as popular as ever, in that Canada USA game. And then now we have this, not even this the very same year, right? And it's like Canadians, like this is the thing I wanted to ask you. So last year, Dodgers versus Yankees, the peak viewership at series was 15 million people, okay? 8 million Canadians, the peak audience, watched Game 7, Seattle versus Toronto. Do you think that this World Series beats the 15 million of last year?
Oh, that's interesting. I would hope so. I mean, if I'm betting, I'm saying no, but my heart says yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will, because like even if there's non-baseball fans because it's the Blue Jays, I feel like that's going to give like probably an extra like 2 million, just because of like it's going to be the thing that's on and so much of people talking about it being the thing that's on. And then also it's the Dodgers, because I'm talking about America, right? Like I'm talking about the US audience, right? So plus the whole story, like the big narrative with the Dodgers is that they, one, have the greatest player of all time, but they also have the largest payroll in the history of baseball right now. Like their pitching rotation is more than $1 billion of salary. And so it's like they are the new evil empire, so like the Blue Jays are going to be America's team.
Yeah, which is wow. That is a fascinating dichotomy,
and especially because we beat the Yankees. Especially because we beat the Yankees, so like the Yankees are going to be curious to see what we do. It's all crazy, and I would not be shocked. Like I'm seeing this, and think about it. It came out the night that the Blue Jays won Game 7. right? And I saw that was the planned release date like a month ago. And I was like, that's a good shot. And now they're just pushing it like crazy through all of this World Series. I would not be shocked if there's like a movement to bring back the Montreal Expos. Just because of like, yeah.
And I mean, I was laughing about this with someone I was chatting with the other day, regular at my work. He is from Wisconsin, and he usually comes in with his daughter, but when he comes in on his own, she's like 6 or 7 or something, so we don't really get to talk sports when she's there because we're talking about things that a 6 or 7 year old can get with sports. Anyway, he's from Wisconsin, so we started talking about the Packers' public ownership, and I kind of mentioned how like it was funny that in the 90s and early aughts, like teams switching cities would happen almost arbitrarily. I don't know if, by arbitrarily, I mean owners extorting municipalities for billions and billions of dollars, but like the Los Angeles Rams going to St. Louis, like how can there be an economic case for moving a team from Los Angeles to St. Louis? Like St. Louis is, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the most like economically depressed metros in the country. You know, it's not like the 50s or the 40s or anymore when like there was like a train stop between like the East and West Coast.
Yeah. The NHL tried to do the same thing with Glendale like numerous times where they tried to get the city to pay for the arena, where it's just like, are you fucking crazy? You know, it's insane. And what's insane too, like that would never happen in European football or South American football.
What was it that happened recently where they tried to...
Oh yeah,
within the last few years, in the do that shake up with the Champions League or something, where all the biggest clubs would merge into that new league. You know what I'm talking
Super
about?
League. Yeah, the UEFA Super League. Yeah, and then there was huge protests against it. Yeah,
that was just not fucking happening.
That's what I mean. Is that the fans are. There was a thing. I believe it was Aston Villa. A team was trying, they were trying to sell the team to a larger like conglomerate owner, and there was riots on the field. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's what happens. You know what I mean? Like if you're not winning, one, and then you're trying to extract wealth from the fans who've been loyal for decades, that's what should happen. Not like the Leafs where they're like, give us more like shitty merchandise and more expensive tickets and all this stuff. No. And then in Toronto, the funniest thing too is when people like throw jerseys on the ice, the media is just like classless fans, which is just so insane to me. If anything, the media should be on the side of the fans. It's wild.
It's like the lecturing, and it's I don't know, to go bigger picture, it's like when you see the like talking heads on whatever mainstream media, it was after the fucking Luigi United Healthcare thing, and you see the way they're covering it, and you're like, oh, these people, like, not only are these like talking heads / media, legacy media people, like they could not understand what real people think and feel. It's not that they're like, obviously it's not that they can even craft propaganda. It's like they can't understand what a real person feels, what a real fan feels, what it's like to have your life, to pour so much of your heart and soul into sports rather than the like being the fucking dicks at a Leafs game who get the box and leave. So give you another little personal anecdote. When the Giants beat the Eagles, I don't know if that was 3 weeks ago, I was out, so I had the game on. I was listening to the game, and I heard them say, this is a Thursday night game, the Giants playing the Eagles, and the Giants start winning. The Giants start going up, and one of the fucking broadcasters says, well, the stands are really filling up now that everybody knows that the Giants are in a competitive game against the Eagles. And I'm like, man, this is football. If I had season tickets, I would only be missing games for like a relative in the hospital. There's only 9 home games.
Yes.
What the fuck? Who are these fucking people?
Oh my God. Well, I feel like, I don't know. Have you been to a Giants game in MetLife?
No, I've driven by MetLife a couple times. I've been to a Bills game, and going to Detroit was on the docket until the most recent Trump election, and then that seems less appealing now.
Yeah. Like I believe that like recently since what was called PASPA, which was the thing that like started to legalize gambling. It was based in like, you know, the owner of one of the casinos in the Meadowlands, which was like basically where they had it all for like many years before they actually launched legal gambling. And like the way that was set up is like literally like the entire like a part of the like transit system didn't open until they did that. Because like if you live in New York, you couldn't gamble legally in New York City unless you went to New Jersey. But like there was an entire like line that started to, I don't know if it opened, but it got tons more traffic and the infrastructure expanded specifically because of like the boost in traffic that was going to go to the Meadowlands and MetLife just because of the legalization of gambling. So I believe that it is like super easy to get out there from like downtown. So maybe like that could have a part of it where if they suck, you know what I mean? Like people just aren't showing up. But if they don't suck, it might be like how, you know, like the Jays on a Friday night in August where unless like, you know what I mean? If people are late, they look at the score, it's 8-0. You're not really going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's a more charitable interpretation for sure. I was projecting a little bit of frustration there, but there's a dynamic there, certainly.
I have a little bit of like a unique experience from being like a bit of a metropolitan sports fan that isn't like actually having allegiance to a team in Montreal besides like becoming like a budding Habs fan. But like I've gone to many different sporting events where I'm just like, I have tickets, but then I'm like, oh, am I going to go? And then I look and it's a good game. Like I've gone to like tennis and stuff where I'm just like, okay, I have to go because
sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but if it was a bad matchup or a bad game or whatever, I probably wouldn't.
To be fair, I did, I took the Eagles to cover that night and the unders. It did not look like it's a Thursday night game. Yeah. I get the thought process there.
Yeah.